You see the cloud and feed the thirst to be the one who gets it first to light.
Singer-songwriter, I write pretty generic pop music, but also stuff that's inspired from like more classic sounding pop. I think so. I mean, like, I don't know if people thought I was uncool, but I was definitely a bit of a misfit because I wasn't like the kind of person who had a girl gang, and I wasn't the kind of person who would, dress up or, like wear a lot of makeup and stuff. So in an all-girls school, you kind of stand out.
Hello everyone, welcome to Voices with Raj. Today we have an amazing guest who has been doing. Wait, let me tell her about her journey when she started in Chennai as a young girl, and then she joined a band where she did perform extremely well. And the band abbreviation stands for BIP. I want her to talk about the band later on. And now she is an independent singer. She has launched her music videos and she's doing amazingly well. So many international artists have been praising her all over the internet, everywhere. So instead of me talking about it, let her talk about herself. And Maalavika, why don't you tell those 10% people who have no clue about who you are? So
Okay.
tell them who you are, what do you do, and what is this fuss about? Give them a quick version of you in just 60
Singer-songwriter, I write pretty generic pop music, but also stuff that's inspired from like more classic sounding pop. I write in English, which means literally nobody in this country listens to what I do. But it's all good. I think there's a growing market for independent music, and I am excited to be at the forefront of it.
Okay. Since I introduced about the BIP. So what does it stand for?
Oh my god. I did not think this was going to make it to this interview, but BIB was my first band. It stands for Bass in Bridge. It was a band I joined when I was still in 12th grade with a bunch of boys who were also in other schools.
Okay.
I wasn't supposed to join a band because my parents were like, oh, you're in 12th grade, you have to focus on your board exams. And then somehow I convinced them that I wanted to be in a band. And we joined this talent hunt, and we were like shortlisted to like the top 5 or 6 bands in the South at one point in time. And it was cool. I mean, I think...
So you got that validation from the school time itself?
Yeah, so I think in
Your
school
band is really
I
good.
went from being the person who nobody cares about to like, oh my god, she's a star, or she has potential. So then people started like, well, you're talking to me and hang out with me.
Like people didn't know that you are a singer and you
I think so. I mean, like, I don't know if people thought I was uncool, but I was definitely a bit of a misfit because I wasn't like the kind of person who had a girl gang, and I wasn't the kind of person who would, dress up or, like wear a lot of makeup and stuff. So in an all-girls school, you kind of stand out when you're just like coming to class, sleeping for 5 periods out of 8, and then going back home. So that was like my life for a long time. I was never like an amazing student, nor was I a bad student. I was kind of like head above the water kind. So I was like literally nothing to talk about for a long time, and then suddenly, music happened, and I think that was like my slight claim to fame.
And when did it happen? Like how did you get introduced to music? What's the story behind?
So my parents are not musicians, but they always raised me around a lot of music. So for as long as I've grown up, I've had exposure to all kinds of styles, from like classical music to jazz, and like 80s dance music, like everything. My dad actually he was a break dancer in the 80s, so it's like you had this dance thing, and then I
So
think
you guys
maybe
plan like that you dance, I'm gonna sing.
so the thing is he never, like, ever since he had kids he just stopped dancing altogether.
Okay.
I don't know why, he just took it upon himself to never dance. And so my knowing about my dad's dancing days is like some kind of like family legend type thing. I'll never see it happen.
So you have never seen him dancing?
I've never actually seen him like break dance. I've seen him like, like uncle party dance, like, and even that he looks kind of cool doing, but then like actual popping and locking and b-boying and stuff, I've never seen him do.
But
yeah.
like, when was the first time you got introduced to music? Like, when did you think that, okay, this is what I want to do, this is who I want to become? I've heard that there's a grandfather story which is pretty famous.
There is a grandfather story. My grandfather was a pretty big influence. He was the only person in the family who could play an instrument. He played the harmonica. And when he was young, he had a band in college, and they would like, they were called Black and White or something. Something really generic. And they would play, college competitions and little shows. And then after that, because this is like in the 50s, my granddad had to quit doing music and focus on a career so he could support his family. Because of those days, I mean, there were gender roles, but they were different, and it was having a creative career was not even on the purview of anything for anyone. So my granddad kind of had to quit music and get this real job to support the family. And music was something of his past, his youth. So he'd only bring out the harmonica during family parties or functions. And that's when you would see him play. And I remember thinking as a kid, wow, it's so cool that he can just instantly transform this room of people and the mood and everything by just bringing out an instrument and playing something. And at that point of time, I really wanted to be like him. Like, I'm like, I could do this.
How would we do this?
I don't know. I can't really put an age on it,
Like 5,
but
6, something like that?
maybe younger also. But like, I would see this happen, and when I started growing older, I would play the guitar. So then he and I would jam. So he'd play the harmonica and I'd like accompany him with the guitar. And he'd play songs that I don't even know, and he'd be like, hey, can you follow this? And he'd play beep, 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 beep. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, cool, let me try it. And then I'll try and sort of play along with him. So that was, those are my beginnings. And then I think over time, I'm like, there's nothing that makes me happier than this. There's nothing that comes as naturally to me as music. So why not just make it my career?
So these were like the instances, like
Yeah.
incidents which led you to choose this career.
Yeah.
So whenever you want to become a singer or let's say play an instrument, you learn by copying down the other scales which other people have already like played or which other people are already doing. Let's say if I want to become a singer, I'll start by singing songs of other people.
Which is a very good way to learn.
So that is, but then let's say if I have if I'm a fan of, I don't know, I can't even think of a very good singer at the moment. And let's just say I'm into hip hop and then R&B. So I love Post Malone. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So if I want to become singer songwriter like him, I start singing his songs first. And over the time, when I'm like really into it, after 10, 12, 15 songs, I might try to copy him indirectly or directly. Like most of the time, it is like I'm trying to copy his style because I want to sound like the song he has sung.
Correct. Yeah.
And that becomes my style.
Yeah.
So now, how do I get out of it? And because if I'll be singing a Post Malone song and try to copy him, you can easily make out that this person is trying to copy him.
I think it's a good point that you bring up, because sometimes you have to consciously recognize who you're starting to sound like. Like sometimes if you listen to say too much Post Malone, or if you sometimes listen to a little too much like Billie Eilish, then you start sounding a lot more like these artists.
Exactly.
Just by virtue of influence. But to like understand where that's coming from is a very important thing. One is doing it unconsciously or subconsciously. The other thing is knowing exactly why you're doing it. Knowing that this style, for example, works in 2019 and that kind of singing has high demand could actually be a really good thing. What does it take to have a unique voice, or like sing a certain word differently, or like change it up a little bit? I think that also comes from having a broader range of influences.
Okay.
So say if you're listening to only 3 artists primarily, maybe you should mix it up, try and listen to something completely different. like try and listen to like classical music or try and listen to like old school jazz or something completely different and emulate that. And then slowly that vocabulary will start becoming a part of your general style.
Felt it like you were trying to imitate someone, or there have been any point where you're like, no man, like I should stop sounding like her or him or something?
So like actually, I mean, not so much that, because I actually find it hard to find people that I sound like. Sometimes when you have to like say, hey, who do you sound like? Give us artists that you sound familiar, like similar to, and I'm just like, I honestly can't think of too many. And like sometimes it's a really bad thing, because like for playlisting and for things like interviews or for articles, I literally have a different combination of bands or artists every time I like respond to that question.
But there must be one singer at least, like who would be?
So like,
Or have you anyone
it's
ever
a
told
mix
you
of
that?
different things. It's a mix of a lot of different artists that
Because you have been singing and doing all of this since very long. There haven't been even one person who have told you, okay, you remind me
so
of that person.
at one, not stylistically, but
Okay.
just voice tone wise, at one point in time, I used to sound a lot like Nora Jones.
Okay.
Just because I could like mimic her like pretty exactly at one point.
So I don't know, like you want to do it right now?
Yeah,
Can you? I want to see, like just give us 10 seconds of your...
my voice has changed drastically, but then I can try.
Still, like that's it.
Come away with me in the night. Come away with me and I never stop loving you.
Wow.
I sound very different. Okay, I was actually writing poetry before. So
Okay,
ever
before
since
this?
I was 7, before music, before like writing songs, poetry was my thing. That was my outlet.
And how old were you?
7 when I started.
Dude, how talented are you
I'm
guys?
not
Like, I mean,
talented.
at the age
I
of 7, you
said
were just talking about before this.
I mean, so it started
7-year-old
off
kid.
when I was like 7. I was just like badgering my mom's brains about something, and she's like, "You have so much to say. Why don't you write about it?" And I'm like, "That's a great idea."
Oh my god. Oh my
And
god.
then I said, "So what do I write?" And she's like, "I don't know, write a poem or something." And so I saw, we had cats at the time, and I just saw these 2 cats sitting on the table, and I'm just like, I'm going to write a poem about my cats. And then my first poem was called My 2 Cats. And the first 2 lines I ever wrote was, my 2 cats, they drive me crazy. One is lively and the other is lazy.
But still, it's really good, yeah.
That was the first thing I ever wrote.
And you will remember, that's a bigger part.
Because it's the first 2 lines that I
Ever,
wrote on my
ever.
own in my life. So I'll always remember it. My first song, it was when I was 16.
Which commercially got launched?
Commercially, okay, so yeah, so it was the first song I ever wrote. It was a song
What
called
was
No
it?
Place Like Home.
Okay, No Place Like Home.
Yeah, and it was, I think, November 2009. I was 16 years old. And Michael Jackson's This Is It movie had just released. Like, he passed away that same year. And my friend said, hey, we're going to go for This Is It. You want to come? And I said, yeah, I'm going to come for a movie. And then that same morning, I had a big fight with my mom. Like, huge, one of these teeny, like, fights. Like, I'm going to leave home. I'm better off without you guys kind of fight. And my mom said, yeah, go leave. Do what you want. Like, she kind of threw it back at me. And I'm like, fine. And I leave the house and I go for the movie. And I come back. And I'm alone at home when I come back. It's a rainy day. It's dark. There's thunder and lightning. And the curtains are flying all over the place. And in the corner of the house, in the darkness, there's a piano. And there's a light on top of it. And it was like just perfectly set up for me to sit there and write my first song. And I sat at the piano and I was thinking a lot about what went on this morning and how stupid and stereotypically teenage I was behaving. And I played the first chord and I cried. I just cried because I felt so bad. And I'm like, what am I doing? I should be better. And I'm going to apologize to my mom with the song. And so I wrote the song called No Place Like Home.
And then you released it?
No, so then actually the cool part was I didn't tell anyone I wrote the song except my cousin. And he made like a little MIDI track for me and stuff. My mom's 40th birthday was a few days from then. So I said I'm going to surprise her on her birthday by performing this song at a party, like proper Bollywood style. You know. Suddenly the crowd's part of the party and I'm standing there with the mic. I'm like, Mom, this song's for you. And I start singing the song and everybody's like teary-eyed and like everybody loses their mind. They're like, this is your song? So you wrote the lyrics? Did you write the melody? Did you do both? Did you? Because it's a very new concept. Like for people who don't know if you write songs, it's pretty new. So
people like get astonished of like, okay,
yeah,
you sure.
right, exactly. And so I think that was one of those moments where I'm just like, this is a thing that I can do. Like I can write songs.
I should do this.
I can do this. Yeah.
And you discuss inspiration. And now that
Yeah.
a new album is coming, it's releasing all over. People are making buzz about it. It just got launched, right?
It's a single, yeah. But
It's a
it's a single
single.
from the new album, which is gonna come in.
Yeah, the album's gonna follow through, right?
Yeah.
So it's a new single.
Yep.
So what is it about? And
Pretty dark story actually. A few years ago, I was kind of approached by this very well-connected, powerful man in the music industry, and he wanted to sign me to his label. And he made all kinds of promises. Said he was gonna make me a star. Said I was gonna be able to buy an apartment of my own by the end of the year. You know, and he was gonna he said, quit your job.
so you tried to lure you in.
Yeah, like fully. And something about it just didn't feel right because I didn't have anything to show. I didn't have any released music. I didn't have like a following or anything at the time. And so I just had a bad feeling about the whole contract. And I said no to it in the end. But the whole time I just kept thinking, I couldn't help but think that whoever ended up signing that contract would be in some way obliged or would be in like a worse position than before, because I felt like this guy had an ulterior motive for why he wanted to sign an artist.
Okay.
Whether it was to bind them or use their music or use them and change their identity. I didn't know what it was, but I just had a bad feeling. And so I wrote this song. It's called Mango Showers. And mango showers are like the pre-monsoon, like April rains that kind of warn you that the actual monsoon is about to happen. So that was the analogy, because this whole incident happened when the monsoons are just starting in Mumbai. So while this was happening in my life, I could see like dark rain clouds coming in from the outside. So that analogy just fit perfectly.
And how long did it take to write this song?
I wrote the song in less than 2 hours. It was like one
Just
sitting.
one go.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. And you thought of releasing
The
it?
best songs are written in the shortest time. It's
Wow,
a fact.
now you sound like a business person, okay?
No, for
Because
real.
we have this in our industries, like the decisions you take in like 2 seconds or 1 minute or 5 minutes
Yeah,
are the best
because
decisions.
it comes from some
It's
place, you know, like it comes from a place, it comes,
intuition.
yeah, like it's very clear, like your thought process and what you want to say is very clear. You're not thinking about logically how does this make sense. You're just thinking about this is what I want to say, this is how I'm going to say it. It's very clear.
But do you think that this is the advice you want to give it to the young like the budding artists as well? Like
I think
you can
the main
instead of trying to
running-
perfect your craft, you
Yeah.
can just go with
rely.
intuition.
So I think like intuition and the gut is a thing. I don't know how scientific it is, but then there is something to having a good gut feeling about something and going with it. For example, how the story ended with this record label owner, actually the next year, a very good friend of mine signed that same deal.
Which you would get.
Yeah. And shortly after it, he very unfortunately committed suicide.
The guy who signed it.
Yeah. We don't know if it was like a real suicide or if this record label owner had something to do with it. If there was some kind of foul play. I mean, it was all speculation in the news at one point. Everybody in the arts community was talking about it. All of the indie musicians in Bombay were up in arms because, it felt like one of our own people had been taken from us. And then all of a sudden, it was forgotten, it was swept under the rug, the case was closed, this guy got away, nothing happened. Because there was no evidence to prove for or otherwise. And it really affected me, the fact that such a thing could be spoken about and, be the talk on everyone's lips for like a few weeks or months and then forgotten about a few years down the line. No justice, no message. And so kind of what I wanted to do with the song is to warn a lot of people who are young artists and entrants into the music or any kind of art scene, because it's dangerous. I mean, like a lot of what we do is on an emotional, personal level.
But
And
what
you could
is
be
your
lured
like
into
sometimes
things.
let's say you got a gut feeling that you should not get into this contract or
Yeah.
not go with these people. But there are many young artists who come into this city or some other city. They are getting this very fancy options as well, and then they're getting
It's
good
tempting.
contract. It's very
It's
tempting,
very
tempting
tempting.
contract.
It's very
And
tempting.
so what's your advice? Like, should they go with it? What should they do before signing a particular
Be
contract
careful,
or
I
before
feel.
falling into it?
I feel like definitely get legal help. Definitely consult a few people about it before you make a decision, because sometimes even on a contract things look good. Like even very plainly the words are good, but then after that there's still so much scope for things to go wrong, for you to be bound or taken advantage of in a different way. And I've heard so many stories, not so much in music, but in like the film world, like acting. I have friends who are stylists and actors and models, and they tell me about how many times they've been propositioned to do things to get a role or to get work. And sometimes you have to really think, is this what I want to trade in for what I want to get? Again, not judging anyone who does take that thing, but it is a decision you have to make and you need to live with for the rest of your life. So at the end of the day, you need to safeguard yourself in that position.
First is, so you would advise, like, if I sum it up in 3 things. Number one is, don't just quickly get into it.
Yeah.
Take some time.
Yeah.
Take some professional and legal help, so
Yeah.
that you know that whoever or whatever has been offered is legit enough.
Yeah.
And number 3 is, like, think before you get into anything, that do you really want to trade something with the asking
Yes,
for?
because there is no such thing as a one-sided deal.
It's
I
always
mean, there's
give and
always,
take.
even if everything sounds really sweet to you, there's always something that you're gonna have to lose out on in the end. What is that thing, and how much of it are you losing out on? Is what you need to ask yourself. But the flip side is, guys, it's still dark, but be open still, I feel, because sometimes the best things come from random meetings, random
Yeah,
connections.
they do.
Almost like a kismet kind of thing. They just sort of land on your lap, and you should also have the presence of mind to take those things when they come.
You have been getting appreciated by the top best of the best of industries. So how does that
Sometimes.
work for
So
you?
I think it's like very few and far between, because obviously it's not like I work regularly with people like A.R. Rahman. Like I've actually just done one small thing with him. It's not even a song, like it was part of a score of a film of his. And that was the one time that we worked together. But my relationship with A.R. Rahman is like, we're more like friends. So once in a while we'll meet and then just sit like this and talk about composition and writing.
Okay.
Which for me is a bigger deal than having to sing on 5 movies.
Definitely.
I'd much rather just be a friend of his and be able to have a conversation with him on that level than just be, someone who sang. I would love to sing on his movies. Not saying that I'm discounting that, but I'm saying I enjoy that I have.
I get what you're trying to
That
say.
he sees me on that level.
His time is way more important than his deeds.
Yeah, and he'll ask me things like, have you seen Whiplash? Do you listen to Billie Eilish? Like, he has like very down-to-earth, regular conversations with me. And he'd be like, making fun of his daughter, and his daughter would be in the room, and she'd be like, my dad's so nice. Like, so it's cute things like that I get to see, and it's nice because I think
so that wherever you are today, you would reach her faster.
I think there's a lot of pressure put on people to reach a certain place faster and like make a big mark very early. So people take shortcut steps to get to a point faster. Like, oh my god, you need to make it, so you need to release that one hit. You need to, put a lot of money and work into one song. You need to work with one big artist. No, I really don't think that is the way to go about it. I think what it is it's a consistent thing. It's consistently releasing good music, consistently doing good work. So even if you have that one hit, one day, say that one day you have like a viral runaway hit, people need to have other stuff of yours to listen to. Otherwise, you're a one-hit wonder, right? So you need to make sure that everything you put out is a hit. Everything you put out is done to the best of your ability. Don't focus on that one thing. I think, especially in India, we're taught to think, oh, when are you going to make it? oh, you're an anchor, when you're going to make it? You're a dancer, when you're going to make it? People think of it as one singular moment after which you're A.R. Rahman or whoever. But no, A.R. Rahman
Even if
didn't
you
have
get that
one
one
hit.
stage,
He had decades of films and music and collaborations and hard work and sleepless nights. I've seen how he works. He doesn't sleep at night. What I'm saying is, people don't see that. They see the hit on the surface, the tip of the iceberg. But they don't see the hundreds and thousands of hours of hard work that have gone into it. And that's something people don't tell you to do. They always make you aim for the hit. They always make you aim for the low-hanging fruit and like getting social media followers and all of that. But it's so much more than that.
So this is what you felt like.
Yeah,
when you were
it's
15, 16, you felt this thing.
definitely
this
like my dad would tell me. I think I could break everything my dad has taught me down to 10 teachings, and one
so
of
we're
them
writing a
is
book here?
one day I want to make a thing. But one of the things he always would tell me is when I was getting bad marks in school. It was my 12th standard. My mom's like, "You're in your 12th standard, you're still getting 50s, what are you gonna do?" And I was getting freaked out because it was the first term and I wasn't getting good results. And he was like, "No." And then my dad came and sat with me. He's like, "Life is a marathon race, not a 100-meter sprint. You need to pace yourself. You're not getting good marks now? Leave it. It matters that you get good marks in your grades, if at all. So don't worry about these marks. Keep learning, keep being consistent. You'll get there."
Thank you so much.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
fun. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That.
Perfect. See you.